How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal, and today we're going to talk about a Capcom Disney game. Those are always fantastic. This one's a little bit different though. I'll get to why in a second. So, throughout the 80s into the 90s, Disney and Capcom had a really good working relationship in regards to console releases, especially on the NES. You had stuff like Rescue Rangers and DuckTales and Tailspin and Little Mermaid, and those were all good games in their own right. Today's game though is interesting because instead of it being based on a film or a cartoon, this one's based on Disney theme parks. And while it's a weird concept, they actually don't do an awful job of pulling it off. And it follows the time-honored tradition of Goofy messing up and Mickey Mouse having to do the legwork to fix it. Only this time, you, the gamer, are charged with doing Mickey's dirty work. Today we're going to take a look at Disney's Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. Now, in this game, you play as an anonymous kid who you name at the beginning of your run. And like I said, you're asked to help Mickey get these 5 or 6 silver keys so that you can get into Cinderella's castle and get the golden key so that you can start the parade. Basically, this entire game is about event planning. So, whatever. In order to do that, you have to meander about the park, which the park in this game is a hodgepodge based on Disneyland in California, the Magic Kingdom, and Tokyo Disneyland, I think. Anyway, there's a number of different levels based on different rides. Autopia, which is an overhead scrolling race. Big Thunder Railroad, which is basically an overhead race type situation. Haunted Mansion, which is a side-scrolling level. Pirates of the Caribbean, which is side-scrolling, and Space Mountain, which is a first-person space shooter. And once you fulfill the conditions for each level, you get a key. There's also some Disney trivia involved. You complete the trivia challenges, you get the final key. Get the final key, you can get into Cinderella's castle, get the gold key, start the parade, the end. If you know what you're doing, it's a relatively short game. You can probably play through it in about a half hour to an hour. And this might sound dull, and some reviewers said that it was, but it's a distraction from the typical Disney fare as far as a mascot-driven platformer, which was typically what we got with the Disney Capcom games. Darkwing Duck, mascot-driven platformer. DuckTales, mascot-driven platformer. Rescue Rangers, mascot-driven platformer. Mickey Mousecapade, mascot-driven platformer. Really, the only two that weren't mascot-driven platformers were Little Mermaid, which was a mascot-driven shmup, and Tailspin, mascot-driven shmup. So, this game is a little bit different. It has different stuff in it, but it works. Like, it's a hodgepodge of genres, and it works. The music in the game, Capcom, solid Capcom fare. You get Mickey Mouse's theme music, stuff like that. You get It's a Small World plugged in there somewhere. Lots of different stuff, and it works really well. It does a good job of selling Disney parks. And it's a good celebration of Disney theme parks. So if you like Disney, if you're a fan of Disney, this is something that you should play aside from the typical mascot fair. If you want a copy of this, it's cheap. This is probably, out of all of the Disney stuff that's been released out in the world, this is probably the cheapest of the NES Disney games, because DuckTales is about $20 a copy. Rescue Rangers is about $20 a copy. Tailspin's way more expensive than that. Little Mermaid might be a little more expensive than this, and on and on. But this game's about somewhere between $10 to $15. It's not expensive at all. So yeah, if you are a Disney fan, you should totally go and find this game and check it out, because it's an interesting take on Disney that didn't involve one particular character. Basically celebrated all of them. This has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow.
8-Bit Animal.
Tomorrow, feast your eyes on the most expensive coloring book ever. Holy cow.